Good morning, students. I hope so. Everyone is good and everyone is fit and fine. So, in the previous lecture, we have started with this new chapter, which is human resources from the subject geography. Now, in the previous lecture, we have studied about, I have given you introduction about what this chapter is all about. What are human resources, why they are known as nation's greatest resource, and why they are the most significant component to make other things more useful for the people around us and to make more resources more useful for us. Then there is the distribution of population that we have talked about, like the way in which people are spread across the earth surface, that is known as the pattern of the population distribution that is there. In that we have studied about the basic two continents that have these more than 60% of the population. Then we have talked about the density of population, where how you can calculate on the basis of that how many people are living in the unit area of the earth surface and how you can calculate that. And after that we have studied about the factors affecting the distribution of population on the basis of geographical features like topography, climate, soil, water, minerals, and social, cultural, and economic factors. Now, in this particular lecture, we'll continue with the other topics that are there in this chapter with that I'll be mentioning in the further lecture too. So basically this is going to be a lecture 2 from chapter number 6, Human Resources, Class 8, subject Geography, and the topic that we'll be covering today will be these. So basically the topics to be covered in this particular lecture will be, first of all, we'll talk about the population change, how the population is changing and what are the basic reasons for that. And from the early 18th century till now, what are the changes in the population that we have seen. So we'll be talking about that, the causes, the reasons behind them, why there is a difference, and there will be different kind of terminologies that will be there that I'm going to explain you, and you need to note down as well in your fair notebook about those particular terminologies. Then another topic that we'll be talking about is patterns of population change. So basically in this we'll be talking about the rates of population growth, which basically vary across the world. Even if the world's total population is rising or not, we'll be talking about that. So these will be the thing, these two topics will be there that will be talking in the lecture. Then I will be giving you the homework solution that I have given in the previous lecture. So the answers will be there in this lecture and we'll be discussing in the online class too. And then I will be assigning you few homework questions where you just have to do these particular questions in your fair notebook. So these are the particular things that we'll be doing in today's lecture. So please everyone be ready with your books, with your notebooks and one pen in your hand. These so that you can write down the notes as well. So let's just start with today's lecture. The first topic that we will be discussing in today's lecture is population change. So basically how the population is changing and what are the basic reasons for that. That I have just told you before also that the population in the entire world is uneven and unstable. It is not similar in every part of the country. It is going to be different, and it is going to be different year after year, or a specific period of time it will change. So why these changes are there, why it is not stable, what are the basic reasons for that. So basically the population change refers to the change in the number of people during a specific time. So first of all you should know about what does population change means. So population change means basically it refers to change in the per number of people during a specific time period. Now the world population has not been stable for like I just told you also that it is going to be uneven and it is going to change after every time period that we calculated. Per year also it will be changing, and a kind of a specific time period that will be calculating it, it will not be similar, it is going to eventually change. Now what are the reasons for that? Like it has increased manifold as seen in the figure 6.3 in your book. You can check your book, there is a particular picture or figure that is given to you where you can see the growth of population. In the starting it is very slow and steady, but after like 19th century it is growing and it is very rapid growth, you can see in that particular picture. Now, why these there is in the starting it is very slow and steady growth is there, and after the 19th century there is a particular rapid growth that we have seen in the population change. What are the reasons behind that? I'm going to tell you. So why the changes are there? Basically, this is actually due to changes in the number of births and death rate. So basically, why there are certain changes in the numbers of birth and death per year that happen. On that particular basis, we can say that there is a certain change in the population every year after year, or if we are going to calculate on per specific time period, it is eventually going to be changed. So like for the extremely long period of human history, if you see in the picture as well, until the 18th, the world population grew steadily but slowly. So I just told you that the population in the starting of the 18th century, like till 18th century and before that also, the population change was very, like it was growing very steady but slowly. It was not very rapid that we can see that. So what are the basic reasons or cause that it was not increasing too rapidly? It was just steady and slowly it was like growing. What was the reason behind that? So basically there were large number of babies who were born but they died early too. So what are the major reasons for that? That first of all, there were a lot of babies that were coming, they were born but they were dying very early too. Why? What was the major reason? Because they were not having proper health facilities or medical facilities to save their lives. So at that point of time, we were not very much good in giving proper health cares or food supplies. So these are the major causes why these born babies were dying very early. So there was no sufficient food was not available for all the people at that point of time. So the major reasons, if you have to write about the causes why their growth was steady and why the growth was not that up to the mark or not rapid. So the reasons that you can write down also is, first of all, that large number of babies were born but they died early too. Second, that there was there was no proper health facilities that were given to them. Then sufficient food was not available for all the people out there. Farmers were not able to produce enough to meet the food requirement of all the people, and as a result the total increase in population was very low. So what are the major reasons behind the slow and steady growth in the population rate before 18th century or till 18th century it was there? If you can see it, the reasons are these: that the proper medical facilities were not available for them, there was not sufficient food that could be availed to all the people around the world, then farmers were also not able to produce enough to meet all the requirements of the people. So as a result, the total increase in the population was very low at that point of time. Now in 1804, the world's population reached 1 billion, and 155 years later, like in 1959, the world's population reached 3 billion. So if you can see that till 1804, the world population was just 1 billion, and after a specific period of time that they have calculated, like around 155 years later, they calculated the population and it reached to 3 billion. So they have seen a very rapid growth in a very small period of time. So if there is a rapid growth that you see in the population change, and it is quite rapid, it is very in a specific period of time you are calculating it, and you can see a rapid growth, that is what known as population explosion. That you can see a rapid growth in the population change in a specific period of time. So that is what it is known as population explosion. I hope so it is clear to everyone that what you have to write in the definition. Basically in the definition, this could be the example, but in the definition you have to write down like this way. If you see a rapid growth, like if there is a rapid growth in the population change in a specific period of time, that is known as population explosion. Now in 1999, 40 years later, the population was doubled to 6 billion. So again they calculated that they have seen a population explosion where the population was doubled in 40 years of gap only, that from 3 billion it was now 6 billion. Now what are the major reasons for that this population explosion was there and they have seen such a big change in the population change? So basically this growth was seen, and what are the main reasons for that is that this growth was that with better food supplies and medicines were being given to people, deaths were reducing while the number of births still remained fairly high. So if you have to write about the reasons, what are the reasons why they have seen this population explosion and they have seen this rapid growth? Basic reasons are there. Now we are having better medical facilities. Now we can provide them better health facilities. We are having better food supplies. And because of all these reasons, deaths were also reducing while the number of births were still remaining fairly high. So that is why they have seen a rapid growth in a very less period of time. And now too it is like growing year after year. You can see a rapid growth, and the population explosion is still there. It is not that it is being steady or it is less rapid. You can see the explosion now also. Now the births are usually measured using the birth rate. Now how you can calculate what are the number of births that happen in per year or a specific period of time, or deaths are like usually how you can measure these particular things. So basically for birth, you are usually measuring these by the birth rate. So how you can calculate the birth rate? So the number of live birth per 1000 people, that is how you can calculate the birth rate of a particular country or the world at that point of time. Now the deaths are usually measured using the death rate. Now the number of how you can calculate the death rate, basically the number of deaths per 1000 people is how you will be calculating the death rate of a particular country or the world. Is up to you how you want to calculate the death rate. So this is how you are going to calculate the birth rate and the death rate, and this is how you will have to define it as well. Now if you want to like define these things, so you can write that births are usually measured using the birth rate, and like the number of live birth per 1000 people, that is how we calculate the birth rate, and that is known as birth rate only. Similarly for the death rate as well. So this is how you have to define, and you have to write about birth rate and death rate. Now migration, in between of that there were migrations, is the movement of people in and out of an area. So basically if you have been calculating birth and death, in between of that there are certain migrations as well that happen, like from where, like from your country, many of the people will be going out of the of that particular area or that country, and some will be coming up to that particular like city, country also. So that is known as migrations, which is a kind of a movement of people where people are coming in and out of an area. Now the births and deaths are the natural causes of the population change. So what are the major causes and the natural causes of population change? That is the birth rate and the death rate. Now in between of that, the difference that is there, that is how we can calculate about the population growth or the natural growth rate that we can calculate in. So basically the difference between the birth rate and the death rate of a country is called the natural growth rate. So basically we have calculated the birth rate, then we have calculated death rate. Now the difference that come between them, that is what we calculated as the natural growth rate, from where we can count about how the population have increased and how, like what number it has been increasing in. So we can calculate about the growth rate with the difference of from the birth rate and the death rate, that the number come up. So the population increase in the world is mainly due to rapid increase in the natural growth rate. That's how we calculate about our the natural growth rate, that which is there and which you can see in the figure also in 6.3. Now, migrations is another way by which population size changes. So, migration is also one of the reason why the population size changes, because many of the people, they were moving out from the country, and many of the people who are coming into our country. This particular thing also changes the status of our population. So, how it is being possible and how it is there. So, like, people may move within a country or between the countries as well. Like you must be going to Sri Lanka, or you might be going to like Europe, you want to settle to USA, or you want to go for just a particular holiday for a period of time. So it depends on you, but you are moving from one country to another. So people who may move within a country or between countries, they are known as immigrants. Immigrants are like people who leave a country. Like you are leaving your own country, they are known as immigrants. Like जो इंडिया छोड़ के जा रहे हैं उनको हम इमिग्रेंट्स कहते हैं, वो जो उन दूसरी कंट्री में जाएंगे उनको हम इमिग्रेंट्स कहेंगे. नाउ immigrants are those who arrive in a country. Like immigrants are basically who arrive basically from other countries, they are arriving in our country. So we are going to call them as immigrants. So the countries like the United States of America and Australia have gained in numbers by immigrations and immigration, or a lot more. Like if from our country especially, there are like lot of people who are being settling in USA and Australia, and they have gained a lot from our country only in number of immigrants and immigrants. So there is a Sudan is an like Sudan is an example of a country that has experienced a loss in population number due to out migration or emigration. So basically, if your own people are leaving your country, so there's a loss of your own country, because the population rate number is going to be decreased. So this all things count. All these things count. जो भी in immigrants होते हैं या फिर immigrations होते हैं, they all count in the population change, and they all have a certain number that being counted कि कितने लोग इंडिया छोड़ के जा चुके हैं और कितने लोग आ रहे हैं, and it happens in every other country. So they have given one example of one country, that is Sudan. It is an example of a country that have experienced a loss in the population number due to a lot of out immigration that happened, means उनकी country छोड़ के बहुत सारे लोग चले गए. So that happened. So that is why they have experienced a loss of population number as well. Now similarly, the general trend of international migrants is from the less developed nations to the more developed nations in search of better employment opportunities. So basically, the general trend of international immigrants is from the less developed country most, like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. They come under the they are the developing countries, but they are not developed as per USA, Australia and other countries. So basically, these international immigrants mostly coming from these less developed nations to the more developed nations in search of better employment opportunities. So why they are moving towards the different countries? Just to like earn a lot of money for themselves and to generate employment opportunities. Like from Bangladesh they came to India to आते हैं, श्रीलंका से भी आते हैं इंडिया में, just to get some better job or get some employment opportunities here. So basically, this general trend that is coming from the international migration is coming from the less developed nations only, because they might not have that kind of employment opportunities which a developed nation could be having. So that is why in the more developed nations they come for some better employment opportunities. So within countries, large number of people may move from the rural to urban areas in search of employment, education and health facilities as well. And it can happen within the country as well. Like India, like there are certain areas like in the UP, in the and in different part of the country, like there are certain rural areas. So from there, many of the people come to urban areas in search of better employment, better education facilities and health facilities as well. So it happens within the country also. Now another topic that is there that we'll be covering is the patterns of population change. Now what does patterns of population change means? See, there are rates of population growth that vary across the world, that you can see in figure 6.5 as well. There you can see that the rate of population growth is vary across the world. Like, it is not going to be stable in one country. It is going like the growth that you can see in one country it could be different, and in another country it could be different. So the rate of population growth may vary across the world. Although the world's total population is rising rapidly, if we calculate according to the world's total population, it is rising rapidly. But not all countries are experiencing this growth. So basically, if we are going to calculate for the entire world, we can see that the population growth is here. It is very rapid, and it is the growth we can see. But if we see in the as an individual country, not all countries are experiencing the same growth. So that is the main reason. Like, some countries like Kenya have high population growth rate. They had about high birth rates and death rates. Now, with improving healthcare, death rates have fallen, but birth rates still remain high, leading to high growth rates. So basically, some countries, not even Kenya, India also, China also, all these countries, we can see that they are having high population growth rate. And why? Because they had both high birth rate and death rate as well. So because of that, now with improving healthcare, the death rate has started falling and the birth rates are still remaining high. So that is leading to high growth rates. Now, in other countries like United Kingdom, population growth is slowly slowing because of both low death and low birth rate. So there are countries also which are facing slow population growth. Why? What are the major reasons for that? The reasons are basically like in the United Kingdom, the population growth is very slow because of the low death rate that is here and low birth rate also. So there is very steady birth rate and death rate, and these are the reasons why some of the countries don't show a good population growth rate. So that's it for today's lecture. These were the topics that we'll be covering. Now I will be sharing you about the homework solution that I have given you. I have given you 4 questions, and these are the particular answers. You can check your answers as well, and you can correct them if you are not able to do any of the question. The first question was about the average density of population. So the average density of population in the whole world is 51 persons per square kilometer, and the average density of population in India is 382 persons per square kilometer, and South Central Asia has the highest density of population. So this is how you have to write answer number 1. Now question number 2 was about how like people are the nation's greatest resource, as because why we can refer to that. Basically, people are nation's greatest resource, as nature's bounty becomes significant only when people find it most useful. So it is people with their demands and ability that turn them into more resources, and hence human resources is the ultimate resource. Healthy, educated and motivated people develop resources as per their requirements. Now question number 3 was about the government of India has the Ministry of Human Resources Development, that is HRD. So how they are creating all these things? So basically the government of India have a ministry also for human resource development, where the ministry was created in 1985 with an aim to develop people's skills. So basically to develop their skills, they have introduced this new ministry called Human Resource Development, and this just shows how important people are as a resource for the country. Now the last question that I have given you was the pattern of population distribution. So the way in which people are spread across the earth's surface is known as the pattern of population distribution. Now more than 90% of the world's population lives in about 30% of the land surface, and the distribution of world population is extremely uneven. So this is how you have to write the answers. And if you are still having any queries related to today's lecture and this homework solution, you can let me know. in the online class, in the doubt session. Now this is the homework that I want to assign you for today's lecture. The first question is define the following. So these are the different points that you have to define it. First is birth rate, second is death rate, third is migrants, and fourth is life expenses. So you have to define these followings. Then second question is, what is the general trend of international international migrations? Then question number 3, why is the population growth slow in the countries like United Kingdom? And question number 4, what was the world's population in 1804? So these are the 4 questions that you have to do as homework. So that's it for today's lecture. We have covered the lecture, we have covered the homework solution, and I have given the homework as well. Still, if you are having any queries, any doubt, I am going to explain each and everything in the online class too. So you can let me know there about what are your basic queries which are there. I am going to clarify there. So that's it for today's lecture. Thank you so much for listening to this lecture, and please take care of yourself. Thank you so much.